Okay, so tell me when you're ready. We're here outside of City Hall, and this is the third day, the final day of our training for 600 teachers, and I'm here with Jan Shoup, who is the Vice President of StarShine and the principal. And Jan, this is your first time not only to Liberia, but Africa.
It's true.
So tell me how your experience has been so far. I know it's probably a big question to ask.
That is a big question, big answer. You know, a week ago, I had no idea what to expect. I'm not even sure I knew where Liberia was. But being here and just, now I lost my thought. Being here, the people, the country, everyone has just been so nice to us and so welcoming. And coming to a place that we had no idea where we were going or what we were going to experience, it's been wonderful.
Do you want me to ask questions?
I know, I'm like, yes, can I look at you?
So, Jan, you've taught teachers for years and all over the United States. Tell me what was different about teaching the teachers here in Liberia. What was some of the things that was different for you?
You know, I think their enthusiasm and their love of life and their desire to improve their teaching skills was just huge. It's not something that we see that often. They just had an energy and a real willingness to want to improve their teaching skills.
And I'm so tired too. For this workshop before you came, and tell me, was it met and succeeded? Yeah.
Well, my hope for StarShine and my mission is to have StarShine all over the world and to bring the concepts and the guiding principles and the philosophy of StarShine to every student everywhere in the world. So being able to come to Africa and especially to Liberia and bring the teachings from StarShine, that was my hope, and it happened. I mean, we had hundreds and hundreds of teachers attending the seminar, and they were all listening, and they all learned a lot and were very interested in what we brought. So that was great.
Thank you, George. I look forward to the next question I'm going to ask you. Curriculum specifically is so important to an area like Liberia.
Well, I think the StarShine curriculum is important to any student, any child, anywhere in the world. However, I think that Liberia has a huge need for enhanced education and support for their teachers. I think there are a lot of teachers here who really want to do a good job and care about the kids, as anywhere in the world, but I think we really felt it here with the teachers, and you could see it in their faces.
And, you know, this is just our first program. It's our pilot program, and we're going to be taking this program around the world. We're interested in this program being the beacon of hope that shows other nations and people what we can do. And so what would be your vision for the StarShine Hub Leadership Academy over the next couple of years? What could you see it accomplishing?
Wow, you know, exactly what you said. I think that my hope is that we have our Hub StarShine partnership all over the world in every country so that we can bring the StarShine principles to all of the teachers and provide teacher training. I think it'll make a huge difference in the world to the children, and that's where our future is. I mean, we have to help them, and we have to give them these techniques so that they can grow up to help us save the world.
And if you had one message that you could give to the Hub community as they're learning about this program and what we're doing here, what would that be?
One message for the Hub community, that's a tricky one. I would like to say so much, but I would say that if you have ever supported anything, education is the thing that needs to be supported right now, because the future is in our children. And if we don't support the children and in turn support the teachers who care for our children, we're not going to go anywhere. So I think that's a very, very important mission for all of us everywhere.
Made me shy.
I get it.
From my heart.
And we're outside of City Hall after our very first teacher training for almost 700 teachers here, and it's been a wild and wacky and tiring and wonderful 3 days. Amber is the Director of Strategic Partnerships for StarShine Academy, and this is your first trip to Africa, is that correct?
It is indeed.
So tell me a little bit about your experience, what it's been like over the past few days, coming to Africa and having the opportunity to teach your first time being in Africa.
I've said it many times already that it's just been an absolute joy to come here and learn as much as I intended on bringing. It's been a true value exchange, and whether it's a community, a family, a partnership, a teacher-student relationship, that's what it comes down to, is what we can exchange with each other and in turn better ourselves because of working together.
Since you're the Director of Strategic Partnerships for StarShine,
Big fancy title.
we talked a lot about partnerships with the teachers over this 3 days, that they were actually in partnership with us, we were in partnership with them, just like Hub is in partnership with StarShine Academy and Youth Action International, and how important it is for us to work together as partners. So can you share a little bit about how you viewed that partnership? Let me rephrase the question. What am I trying to say? So based on the fact that we spoke a lot about partnerships today with the teachers and between Hub, StarShine, and Youth Action International, how do you feel the partnerships between the teachers and us now, as we are developing this program out, will actually go based on how they responded to us, how we were responding to them?
It's a fantastic question. I appreciate you asking, because there's a lot to be said about just that one piece. I think that as we develop these programs here and as we look forward to the future, we always look at longevity and we always look at sustainability and really how those are going to be structured within what we did for the entire 3 days. What we did at the teacher training was really all-encompassing of what we expect them to do in their classroom, but in turn to all of us involved and how we're going to proceed going on from here, and really working on that longevity and that focus with the participants themselves on a specific individual, on a specific level. I would say that with everything they've done, again, it just continues to be an example for those that they are going to go out now and talk to about the things that they taught. For us, being StarShine, continuing to be an example in education, and to have continuing to be an example within the humanitarian community. That's what we're going to constantly try and do, is model ourselves and in turn teach other people so that they can do as well.
One of the things that you said was that you also learned a lot. You were here to teach, but that you learned a lot.
Great deal.
Can you share with us a little bit about what you learned?
I'm glad you said a little bit, because I would have gone on for a while. One of my favorite things on the planet is the tenacity of the human spirit, and I have rarely seen it in so many people on such a massive scale, every single set of eyes I look into. And whether it's just been someone on the street that we drove by, someone that I smiled at and they smiled back, from little children down up to old men and women, there's a real strong spirit here, and they're connected to each other, and it's that they're connected to what matters. And it's evident. It's not just one or two people. It's not just if you go into a worship hall. It's not just if you go into a teacher training. It's really across the population, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful part and energy to be around. It's very inspiring.
And if you had one message that you could give to the Hub community as they're learning about this program and are inspired to hopefully be a part of it and to partner with us and to help, make this happen across the world. What would you say to that?
The community, I would just say that I think that it's pretty well understood at this point that education is the founding block of anything to do, whether it's any issue, whether it's starvation, whether it's poverty, whether it's environmental. See, I love this. I'm getting handshakes and I'm education is not just a tool to address the issues, but as we've seen over the last few days, and just evidenced by what happened, it's a tool that inspires and empowers, and those two things work as the engine. There's only so much that one person can push, but when you have a solution that empowers, inspires, and really drives that force, that's how change happens, and that's how that change continues to sustain itself.
And so on a personal note, we were roomies while we were here in Liberia.
Where's she going with this?
And
She doesn't like you two in the morning at all.
and can you share about the outfits that we're wearing?
So yeah, this is fantastic. This is our traditional African dress. I don't know if I'll meet you in New York or LA wearing this in a meeting anyways, but no, this is their traditional dress, and how honored are we to be able to wear it and share in their culture in that way, because we love fashion.
That's right. And they were very excited to see us.
They were thrilled. They were thrilled. They jumped out of their chairs, literally jumped out of their chairs. Thanks, Ruby.
Get all of us together. So Kimmie, here we are at the City Hall, and it is the last day of our 3-day workshop, and the auditorium is now empty. The last of our 700 students, almost 700, have finally left the building. And so can you give me some of your thoughts about what took place here over these 3 days, how it's affected these teachers?
Well, I think it's just been a great day. It's been amazing seeing people come in, and the energy, and obviously in the end of it, seeing people come up and say thank you, etc. People really felt the meaning of this. They really felt passionate about it. They felt great about it. I think they got a lot out of it. And this is something that usually does not happen in Liberia. And we need to have more of it happen in order to continue to enhance the education system.
So when you say it doesn't usually happen in Liberia, you're talking about this kind of scale of teacher training, or
well,
the
not just the
quality?
scale, but the quality. I mean, it's more about the quality than the scale, and I think all of the teachers recognize that more than it just being about how many people were in the room, it was about did they get good quality education. And I recall the guy who said, I've been in the classrooms all my life as a teacher. The first time I'm a student. And that's powerful, because he wouldn't have said that if he didn't feel like he was learning and participating in something worthwhile. So it's just extraordinary to see what's happening.
And Kimmie, this was a big job, and it happened really quickly. And I want to thank you for all the work that you and your staff and the volunteers did to make this happen so quickly.
Thank you.
What was your hope or expectation before we started this event?
Well, we were just hoping to get a few teachers together and do a training for them and get them on the road. We didn't, in our wildest imaginations, as of Monday night, didn't think that we would have 600 people. At best, we're actually targeting, if we've got 300 people, we're doing okay. But to see 600 people flood in, and in fact, the first day, over 800 people came in, because the first day you had people who were not registered who came in. So you had way more than 800 people came in, because I had to scale it back to 600 because of restrictions on the capacity of the building. If we had a building that could seat 1,000 people, there would have been 10,000 people. If we had a building that could seat 10,000 people, there would have been 10,000 people. But it was great to see the crowd come in and be enthusiastic from the beginning to the end.
And so what's your hope or your vision for as this program continues to roll out?
Well, I think what the teachers need, I think lots of times we do have a program where people get a training as a one-time thing. And then in a very short period, they stop implementing what they learned, they forget about what they learned, they stop practicing. I think in this instance, if we're able to continue that process, and we're able to make sure there's continuity with the teachers, and they're a part of a network, and they feel like they can support each other, not just having support from outside, but part of the StarShine Teachers Network in Liberia. That helps them continue to practice the good stuff. So it's not a one-day thing, it's not a one-time standalone. It's something that they'll practice in their classrooms because it's what's necessary. You've got people who've done teacher training before, it's not new. The difference is those people who come into their teacher training and leave. Whereas in this case, we try to make sure it's sustained over a long time.
And one of the exciting things for us is that as we've been rolling this program out, a lot of it has just been figuring it out as we go. And we've discovered that because there was such an overwhelming response, we know that we really do need to create that community. So one of the great, what's the word? Boy, there you go. All right. So as we've been rolling this program out, a lot of it has been happening as we go. It's because the response has been so huge, and we've recognized that we've had to step up to a greater level of service in that. And so one of the great ideas that has come about from our conversations is being able to have a community resource center that will be utilized by these teachers, that will have computers and internet capability. Can you tell us what that is going to mean to the teachers of Liberia and the community, how you see that's going to affect the community?
Well, I think it's going to be massive. I mean, most places, people take having one computer for granted. If there's a computer in a school or a computer in a classroom, we'll take it for granted. People take having a library for granted. Most schools in other parts of the world, it's a given that you must have a library. Whereas the teachers we've seen here today, probably only 5% of them will have a library in their school. Less than 3% will have access to a computer. So that's why there's a need, a very strong need to open a resource center that again, they can continue to connect, they feel a part of something larger than themselves. What's the question? Having that resource center. There's another places things that people take for granted, having a computer in a classroom, having a library in a school. In Liberia, less than 5% of schools have libraries. Less than 3% of the teachers in schools have access to a computer. And those are things that are very, very necessary. And opening that resource center creates a hub, a central hub, that essentially people can come to, get the resources they need, feel connected, feel a part of something larger than themselves. And this whole process that will continue to go far. So I think it'll be absolutely huge. I think it'll be the first of its kind in Liberia to have a dedicated resource center for teachers. And I think it's certainly something that people in other parts of West Africa will start to copy. As more teachers use it, as teachers in Liberia are enhanced, you'll have countries who've never been in war, like Ghana and Nigeria, trying to copy what we're doing here. And I think that's going to be a great thing.
Yeah, that's a very exciting thing because our mission is really, it is to help the families and the children of Liberia, but it's also to be bringing education around the world and really helping to create that place of empowerment and sustainability around the world.
Yes.
Because we all deserve to be on an equal playing field with each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's just going to be huge.
So let's see, what else do we want to ask Kimmie? Were there some things that happened that went wrong, or some things that surprised you along the way over this 3-day workshop, and how did you handle that?
Well, I think several things went wrong. I think we were prepared for things to go wrong in the beginning. We actually knew there would be things that would go wrong. First of all, we didn't expect 800 people to show up. We were going to be excited if 300 people showed up. We got 800 people who were still excited. There were issues of just crowd control, getting people processed fast enough, that amount of people. And so those were all things I think with the staff in place we could handle and continue to remain calm. As we were committed to the process. I think one of the things that helped us more than anything was that the teachers themselves wanted to help in the process. So they were giving ideas, they were giving suggestions, they were helping to find the best way forward. And as long as they understood something, they'll say, oh yeah, that makes sense, and I think we're willing to change the process. But I think it has continued to flow in extraordinary ways.
And if you could give one message to the Hub community about the importance of this program, what we're doing, and what your hope is for the program with the community members.
Well, I think this is definitely something that everybody out there should support. This is a challenge for Hub members here in Liberia, where education has been left out for so long, where many years kids could not go to school. Many of our teachers were killed. Many teachers had to flee Liberia and live in refugee camps. We're really trying to build the education system from below zero, from negative, and build it back up. And this is an opportunity for us to do that. This isn't just about creating classrooms. This is about empowering the people who are empowering the children. And that's the key part, working with the people, making a difference. With this program, we have the potential of reaching out to hundreds of teachers and thousands of students, and I hope everybody out there will support it for the greatness of Liberia, and ultimately, I believe, for preserving peace here. Because where there is education, there will be peace. Where there is no education, there will be war.
Excuse me, and you both spoke on training teacher in Liberia, but there are a lot of teachers that are across the country. You think what would be their own benefit towards the teacher training? Because there's so much, I believe, that teacher training should be conducted also that they can get benefit, because they have children there, they don't even know what's supposed to be done, or the guy instructor there, they don't even know what to be done when they come to and this kind of performance that took place here, and they training other teachers on our way. So what comment can you make on that?
Well, I think that's why there's a huge need for the support for the program in order that it goes beyond 600 teachers to 6,000 teachers to 60,000 teachers, even if we have that many teachers, to be able to scale the projects up. As more people come in to support a teacher or a classroom or a school, hopefully a school, the faster we can go forward, the faster we can get into the least accessible areas, Grand Bassa, River Sis, Nimba, Lofa, Sino. So the vision is to spread out, and we can do that if we have the support to go forward.
Okay, so Trish, why don't you and Kimmie talk? Not only to Liberia, but also to Africa, and your first time meeting Kimmie in person, that you've known about the work that we've been doing with Action International for over a year as a member. So tell me what it's been like for you to be here and actually be working with Kimmie, and what are some of the things that you've experienced in Kimmie and Action? Okay, so do I have to do that whole thing over?
No.
With me, your experience of Kimmie, working with Kimmie and his staff at Youth Action International. You've been here.
Oh, Kimmie, for one thing, it's been a true honor to get to know you in person. I felt like I knew you because we had a lot of emails back and forth to try to just logistical deal with what we were about to do. I'll tell you the truth, I really didn't have much of a desire to come to Africa. And I for sure didn't think I wanted to come to Liberia. And this has been such an incredible honor. There is, Spryte has said this so many times, there is an energy here and a willingness of the people to rebuild themselves, rebuild their families. And if anyone is more of an example, it would be you. Because you have been through a lot of travesty in your life, and yet you come back, and I see the way that you are a natural born leader with this group. Not that you haven't had to work hard at it, but you're able to keep an entire organization like this in the right momentum. You know, when we first got here the other day, I talking about your organization, and we saw the massive amount of people show up, and it had been kind of muddy and raining, and it was boiling hot and sweaty, and a lot of humidity in the room, and the room couldn't contain all the people. And just for a minute, it scared me, because I thought, oh my word, I'm in this building I don't understand. It has holes in the ceilings. People are pouring in here and they are squished together. And here's Kimmie trying to figure out what he's going to say and do with it. And within minutes, you had a process. And it worked. It just worked. Your whole staff came together, and I don't think you even have that many, do you?
No, very small.
Yeah, it's a small staff.
Very small.
And everybody knew what to do. And what's more, they knew how to listen to you and how to do what you told them to do in crisis moments. So there was never any question or argument or anything. And you know, we can all be great when it's easy, but it's sometimes a little testier to be great when it's really tough. And I think in this instance, it was such an honor for me to be able to be with these people. One of the things I didn't know about Liberia is how well the people understand and speak English.
Yes.
And that gives us, even though the education starts so far below because they haven't had a lot of tools, our ability to communicate with them worked, and they were so open for it. But your organization has done so much of the grassroots to allow an organization like ours that I consider, and I think most of our accreditations consider us to be one of the top education organizations in the entire world. So think about, here's one of the top education organizations working with people that have no tools whatsoever. Now, is that going to even work for anybody's good? And I think that we all proved that peace is possible around the world. If you can take what happened here and the intensity of some of the things that we had to deal with and to keep it rolling, there's no reason why every teacher, every child, every organization can be one of empowerment and helping their own towns. So you've done a lot of work in the background to make something like this be able to happen, and that would teach other organizations to do the same thing.
Kimmie, were you surprised at all by the response of the teachers while they were in the room, their level of focus and participation and staying with every single day, or was that what you expected to happen?
No, well, I did expect them to be focused. What you can never really gauge is how they will react to foreigners. Obviously, foreigners bring a whole different concept, a whole different way of doing things. Singing might not be something that adults in Liberia usually get up and sing or something like that in public, but they were willing to do that. They were actually excited to do that. And I think people were willing to come into the process and enjoy it. And there was not a single person. Usually you can hear people if they're complaining about something. There was not a single complaint about the entire process, especially when it came to the learning side. And so we appreciate that. I know it's extraordinary when that happens, especially when you have so many people and having everybody loving it and coming back. Sometimes people have workshops in Liberia, and the first day there's everybody. There's 600, and the next day there's 300, and then the third day in the morning there might be 100. By the time you go to closing, especially after lunch, you might have 25 people. But you had 600 people straight through. You basically didn't have standing room from day one all the way to day 3. Even after people had had lunch on day 3, they were still sticking around. So I think that's an extraordinary measure of the response people had in being a part of this.
So they don't normally sing in public?
If you're in church, you will sing. But usually to just jump around and start singing would be something that would, especially if you're in a public place with a bunch of people. So people being open to do that and enjoying it, I think, is extraordinary, because there'll be a thing to do on Sunday.
Really?
And that was one of the things that I heard a few of the teachers say as well, that they never would have thought to bring music and playing music in the classroom at different times to be able to get the students to do different things.
especially
really
once you
surprised
go
me.
past elementary school. Wouldn't happen. Usually you do that in kindergarten where you have them singing. But once you pass that, it makes it a bit more difficult.
But we had some people that were probably in their 80s in there, right? Some teachers.
Probably it's hard to.
They were
yeah.
we had, I know, at least 5